Good morning, everyone. I am John Miguel T. Esquivel, and this morning I will be talk about the authentic and alternative assessment methods focusing on portfolio assessment. Instead of measuring learning through tests alone, this approach allows students to show what they know and can do through real tasks, projects, and reflection. Portfolio assessment collects students' work over time to show their progress, effort, and understanding. It helps teachers see not just the final result, but the whole learning journey. And before that, let me read to you first my objective. At the end of this lesson, students will be able to analyze the concept, purpose, features, and principle of portfolio assessment as an authentic assessment method. The second is organize the elements and stages portfolio assessment by selecting the correct procedural or structural answers in the MCQ assessment with at least 80% accuracy. And last, value the importance of portfolio assessment as an authentic method of evaluation of by choosing the responses that reflect its educational significance in at least 4 out of 5 attitudinal MCQ items. Authentic and alternative assessment methods are strategies to use to evaluate students' learning through real-world tasks and ongoing performance rather than traditional exams. They focus on demonstrating knowledge, skills, and attitudes in meaningful contexts, allowing learners to apply what they have learned in practical or reflective ways. It means that authentic and alternative assessment are ways teachers check what the students have learned not just by giving tests, but by looking at how they actually use their knowledge in real life situations or projects. Instead of memorizing for an exam, students show their skills, understanding, and attitude doing meaningful tasks and reflecting on their learning or applying what they have learned in practical ways. So in short, it's about learning by doing and showing real understanding, not just answering test questions.
Instead of giving a traditional multiple choice examination to test students' comprehension and knowledge, you may want to consider asking students to complete alternative assessment types. Alternative assessments usually fall into one of two categories: authentic assessments and performance based assessments. These types of assessments are particularly good for measuring a student's ability to demonstrate skill and apply knowledge because they require students to work at higher levels in Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy classifies learning into 6 categories, which range from lower levels, such as remembering or understanding, to higher levels, like evaluating and creating. Traditional exams measure students' recall and knowledge, but alternative assessments measure a student's ability to apply knowledge. For this reason, alternative assessments rarely fall below applying on Bloom's taxonomy. There are multiple benefits to using alternative assessments in lieu of traditional exams. First, they do not require a proctor. Second, alternative assessments often mirror real-world activities the student will experience in their jobs or daily life. As a result, these assessment types can be a more positive and motivating learning experience for the student. Finally, alternative assessments require students to work at higher levels and allow the student to truly demonstrate mastery of your course content. There are drawbacks to alternative assessments. Because you are asking students to work at higher levels, you likely want to include fewer high-stakes assessments in your course. Instead of 4 regularly scheduled exams, you will likely want to include only 1 or 2 alternative assessments. Also, these assessments usually require more time to grade. Because the performance is unique to each student, you will need to prepare time to grade each submission individually. To aid in grading the student's work, you will want to use a clearly written rubric.
Portfolio assessment is one form of authentic and alternative assessment that focuses on the collection of students' work over time to show their learning progress, skills, efforts, and achievements. Unlike traditional tests that measure learning at one point in time, portfolio assessment emphasizes continuous learning, reflection, and improvement. It is widely used in education, especially in the social sciences, because it captures both the process and product of learning. This report discusses the features and principles, purposes, essential elements, stages in implementing, types, assessing and evaluating, and the implication of portfolio on some elements of social sciences. And now let's talk about the features and principles of portfolio assessment. So the features and principle of portfolio assessment refers to the characteristic and guiding ideas that make portfolios meaningful, fair, and effective as an assessment tool. It means that features are the special qualities or characteristic of a portfolio that make it useful. And principle, it means, are the rules or ideas that guide how it should be used. So together, they explain what makes a portfolio a good, fair, and effective ways to assess students' learning. And number one features of portfolio assessment is developmental. It means show growth and progress over time, not just the final output. So like for example, at the beginning of the semester, you wrote a short paragraph about the causes of World War I, and by the end, you submitted a full essay analyzing which cause had the greatest impact, showing how many understanding improved over time. Then, it means that a portfolio shows how students improves over time. So it's not just about the final project or the last grade you get. So teacher can look at all your work from the beginning to the end and see how your skills, knowledge, and understanding have grown. And number two, authentic. It means uses real-life tasks such as essay, projects, reflection, and research output. Like for example, you conducted a mini survey in your community about local environmental issues, and you wrote a report suggesting solutions which allowed you to apply social studies concept to a real-life situation. So it means that authentic portfolio are based on real-life tasks that are meaningful and useful. Instead of just memorizing the fact for a test, this means that the students do activities or projects that they might really use or experience outside of the school. Number three is student-centered. It means that learners take part in selecting and reflecting on their work. And for example, you choose to include your timeline of Philippine independence. So your action paper is all about its significance. And your group presentation summary in your portfolio because they best reflect your learning and progress. So in student-centered, it means that portfolio focuses on the student. You as a learner get to choose which work to include and think about what it shows about your learning. So you are the part of the process and not just a passive participant. Number four is reflective. It encourages self-assessment and critical thinking. Like for example, after completing a research project on ASEAN cooperation, you reflected that you understood the benefit of regional unity but needed to improve explaining economic partnership, helping you to plan how to learn better next time. So it means in reflective, a portfolio encourages you to think about your own learning and evaluate yourself. Reflection, it means that looking at what you did, thinking about what went well, what was difficult, and how you can improve next time. Thoughtful, independent learner. And number five is holistic. Assess knowledge, skills, and attitudes together. Like for example, your portfolio included a research essay on climate change, it is knowledge, an infographic presenting solution, it is skills, participation in a group discussion, it is collaboration, and a reflection on environmental responsibility, it is attitudes, showing your learning as a whole. So it means in holistic that portfolios look at the whole picture of learning, not just one part. They assess your knowledge, what you know, skills, what you can do, and attitudes, how you behave or approach tasks. Now let's talk about the principles of portfolio assessment. Number one is purpose-driven. It means each portfolio has a clear goal aligned with learning outcomes. So it means that every portfolio should have a clear reason or goal. The work included in the portfolio should match what the teacher wants the students to learn. It's not just random tasks, it's planned so it's helped achieve a specific learning outcome. Like for example, if the goal of in social studies is to improve historical analysis, the portfolio should include essay, timelines, and reflection that shows how the students understand and analyze history, not just unrelated drawings or worksheets. Number two is validity. It means tasks must measure what they are intended to assess. So it means that activities and tasks placed in the portfolio should really show what the students is supposed to learn. The work included must truly reflect the students' knowledge and skills, not something unrelated. If the goal is to assess a student's research skills in social studies, including research paper in portfolio is appropriate because it shows how the students gather and analyze information. However, a drawing of a historical figure may show creativity, but it does not clearly show research ability. Number three is reliability. It means clear criteria and rubrics are used to ensure fairness. So in reliability, this principle is about fairness and consistency. The teacher used clear criteria or rubrics so that all students are graded in the same way and their work is evaluated fairly. Like for example, your teacher used rubric giving points for organization, clearly, creativity, and accuracy so every student's portfolio was evaluated in the same fair way. Number four is transparency. It means students understand expectation and assessment standard. So, this means that students should clearly understand what is expected of them. They need to know the goals, the tasks, and the standard for assessment. Like for example, before starting the portfolio, the teacher explained what kind of work is required, how it will be graded, and what the criteria are. So this helps students show or know exactly what to do to succeed. Number five is learner involvement. It means students actively participate in compiling and evaluating their work. So it means that this principle emphasizes that students should actively participate in creating and evaluating their portfolio. They are not just passive recipients of grades, they are part of the assessment process. So for example, students choose which assignment to include, reflect on their own learning, and even to self-assessment using the rubric. This helps them take responsibility for their learning and understand their strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Why do you think we are here today? To talk about the portfolio. What do you feel like when you do the portfolio? What about you?
I think it's good, I guess.
Look at this very special book that we have, which is called a learning portfolio. I'm going to do this quick exercise. It's going to be a little chaotic. Students, go and line up there. I want you to get organized. It depends on how you want to organize yourself. By height, by weight, by gender. Get yourself organized there and I will give you a simple task. Are you organized? Yeah. I want you to get organized inside that room according to your height. And you have 2 minutes to do it. So, similar heights on similar in one table. So good. So you got yourself into groups because I am going to probably want to check the size of the sports t-shirt that we want to give you. So imagine that I wanted to check everybody's size for the t-shirt. Would it be easy if we had all jumbled up and sat down, or it's easier now? It's easier now because I know that all of you more or less will be what size.
And now let's talk about the purposes of portfolio assessment. The purpose of portfolio assessment is to evaluate the students' learning in a comprehensive and meaningful way by documenting progress, achievements, and learning experiences. This means that purpose of portfolio assessment is to see how well a student is learning in a complete and meaningful way, not just by giving a single test. Instead of focusing on just one exam or grade, it collects all the students' work over time like projects, essays, reflection, and other activities. By doing this, the teacher can see a student progress, notice their achievement, and understand their learning experiences. It's a way to look at the whole picture of a student's learning journey, including their growth, skills, knowledge, and effort, rather than just the final result. They have a major purposes. Number one, to monitor learning progress, track improvement over time. It means that portfolio help teachers see how students improve over time, not just the final grade. Like for example, a student first essay may have many mistakes, but later essay show better organization and clearer ideas. This help track growth. Number two, to assess performance-based learning. It means measure real skills and application of knowledge. So portfolio measure real skills and abilities, not just memorizing facts. So for example, creating a map of historical events or doing research project shows that students can apply what they have learned in practical ways. And number three, to encourage reflection and self-evaluation. It means help students recognize strengths or the weaknesses. It means that portfolios give students a chance to think about their own learning, recognize what they do well, and see what needs to improvement. Like for example, after completing a project, students write about what was easy, what was challenging, and what they would do differently next time. So number four is to support individualized learning. It means acknowledges diverse learning styles and abilities. So it means that portfolio acknowledge that each student learns differently, so they allow students to show learning in ways that suit them. Now, for example, one student may write essay, another may create visual projects, and both can demonstrate their understanding in their own way. And number five is to inform instruction. Helps teacher adjust teaching strategies. So it means portfolio help teacher to see what students struggle with and adjust their teaching. So for example, if a teacher notice many students have difficulty analyzing historical events, they can spend more time explaining it or provide extra activity.
What is the purpose of student portfolio?
Our goal is your satisfaction. Let us show you the way.
A student portfolio is a compilation of academic work and other forms of educational evidence assembled for the purpose of 1. Evaluating coursework quality, learning progress, and academic achievement. 2. Determining whether students have met learning standards or other academic requirements for courses, grade level.
And now let's talk about the essential elements of a portfolio. So the essential elements of a portfolio are the components that make it complete, organized, and meaningful. This means that the essential elements of a portfolio are the parts or components that make up the portfolio complete, organized, and meaningful. In other words, these are the things that must be included so the portfolio can really show a student's learning. Without these elements, this portfolio would be incomplete or confusing. So number one is the clear objective. It means purpose of a portfolio. It means every portfolio should have a purpose or goal. This tells both the students and teacher what the portfolio is meant to show. So for example, in social studies, portfolio might aim to show how students improve in analyzing historical events over the semester. Number two is reflection. It means students' explanation of learning and growth. So students add their own thoughts about what they learn and how they improve. Like for example, after completing a project, students write about what they learned, what was difficult, and what do differently next time. Number three is criteria or rubrics, meaning standard for evaluation. So in criteria or rubrics, the portfolio has a standard or rules for evaluation so students know how their work will be assessed. Like for example, a rubric might give points for accuracy, organization, creativity, and effort. Number 4 is the feedback. Feedback, teacher, peer, or self-assessment comments. So in feedback, the portfolio includes comments from the teachers, peers, or even self-assessment which help the students improve. So like for example, a teacher writes, "Great effort on your essay. Try adding more examples need or next time." Or students reflect on their own strength and weaknesses. And number 5 is the evidence of progress. So it is early, middle, and final output. So it means that portfolio show improvements over time with early, middle, and final outputs. Like for example, a student's first essay may have many errors, but the final essays, it is well organized and show deeper understanding. This shows the teacher how much students has grown. And
So in our classroom, all of the students have a portfolio and documentation book. Each month, Mrs. Ham works with the students to reflect upon their writing. So writing samples are selected, the personal best of the month, and then she asks students a little bit about the writing that they've collected.
During the month, I'll collect their work, and then I'll put it aside, and at the end of the month, I will sit down and just sort through their work and ask them why they, which to pick their personal best work for the month, and then they'll pick it out, and then afterwards I'll sit down and talk to them about what kind of work it was and why it was a personal best, and so that's what we do for the monthly writings.
We also have photo documentation of play-based learning, which we connect with the curriculum. We describe what happened. We specifically set the context for it. Beyond that, there are some fine motor assessments. We combine inquiry-based learning documentation as well. So this student participated in an inquiry called Treasures, Tinkering, and Learning, our toy inquiry. And there's a little brief 2-page description of what happened in that inquiry. So it's a combination of assessment, math interviews. So here you can see a patterning interview. It is write-ups from inquiries, play-based learning photographs, as well as an interest interview at the beginning of the year, and a family survey where the family gets an opportunity to share a little bit about what they enjoy reading, what they enjoy doing as a family, and how we can support that learning and extend it into the classroom. And then again, the interview that we completed with each child to learn more about why they're special, what they bring to the classroom, and what they're interested in.
now let's talk about the stages in implementing portfolio assessment. So stage number 1 is all about planning. It means this is the first step where the teacher decides what the portfolio will be for and how will work. So the teacher identifies the learning objectives, what students should achieve, decides the type of portfolio, like developmental or performance-based, and prepare rubrics or clear standard for evaluation. Now, for example, in social studies, the teacher might plan a portfolio to show how students improve in historical analysis, and the rubric will be include point for clarity, accuracy, and effort. Stage number 2 is the collection. It means that in this stage, students gather their work over time. The portfolio collects all outputs such as essay, projects, quizzes, artworks, maps, or research reports. So, like for example, students might include a timeline of historical events, a research paper on a famous leader, and a reflection on a field trip. The stage number 3 is selection. It means here students choose the most meaningful or best pieces of their work to include in the portfolio. This stage encourages the responsibility and ownership of learning. So like for example, out of 5 essay, students may select the 2 that best show their improvement and understanding of the topic. And stage number 4, or the reflection, it means students think about and explain their learning and progress. So reflection helps students recognize what they did well, what was challenging, and how they improve. So like for example, after finishing a project, students write, I learned how to analyze historical events better, and I need to work on organizing my ideas more clearly. So the last stage, or the stage 5 evaluation, it means the teacher assesses the portfolio using the prepared rubrics. Feedback is provided so the students know their strength and the areas for improvement. Like for example, the teacher writes comment on each piece such as excellent analysis of events or try to add more examples next time, helping the students understand their learning progress. So now let's talk about the types of portfolio. So the first type is the working portfolio. This portfolio contains all the students' work from the first draft up to the final output. It includes the practice activities, corrections, revisions, and even mistakes. This is important because learning does not happen instantly. Students improve through practice, feedback, and revision. By using a working portfolio, the teacher can monitor progress while the students can clearly see how much they have improved over time. So in short, this portfolio focuses on progress, not perfection. The second type is the showcase portfolio. Unlike the working portfolio, this one includes only the student's best output. The purpose of this is to highlight achievements and demonstrate what the learner can do at their highest level. Students carefully select the work they are most proud of, so it becomes a collection of their strongest performance. So this type of portfolio helps build confidence and motivation because students see their success being recognized. So if the working portfolio show improvement, the showcase portfolio show achievement. And the third type is the assessment portfolio. This portfolio is mainly used for grading and evaluation. The teacher required students to submit specific tasks that align with the learning objectives. These works are then assessed using rubrics or scoring guides to ensure fairness and accuracy. This allows teacher to measure whether the students have achieved the required competencies or not just through exam, by through authentic outputs. Therefore, this portfolio focuses on measuring learning outcomes. And last type of this portfolio is the process portfolio. This portfolio emphasizes how learning happens, not just the final result. It includes reflection, journal, drafts, planning activities, and revision that show the stages of understanding. Students explain what they learned and challenges they face and how they improve. This helps develop critical thinking and self-assessment because students become aware of their own learning journey. So this portfolio highlights growth and development rather than just outputs. So next, I will be discuss about the assessing and evaluating portfolio assessment. Portfolio assessment is not just about collecting work, it also needs to be assessed and evaluated properly to understand how well students are learning. There are several methods the teacher used to evaluate portfolios. Number one is rubrics. Rubrics are clear guides or criteria that tell both teacher and students what to look for in the portfolio. They help make assessment fair and consistent. Like for example, a rubric may include points for content, accuracy, organization, creativity, reflection, quality, and effort. This way, everyone knows how their work will be judged. Next is self-assessment. Students evaluate their own work. This helps them think critically about what they have learned, recognize their strength, and identify areas for improvement. Like for example, a student might review their project and write, I explained historical events clearly, but I need to organize my ideas better next time. Number 3 is peer assessment. Classmates give feedback on each other's work. So this encourages collaboration, constructive criticism, and learning from others. So for example, a student read classmate essay and comments, "Your timeline is very clear, but try adding more detail about the events."
So would you please don't start anything, don't do anything, please, other than just give your writing to a partner that you've been giving feedback to. 3 minutes. All I would like you to do is make your partner's work look like the paragraph on the screen. Highlight the evidence in one color. Highlight the analysis at the bottom of the paragraph in a different one. Circle or make a note of where the verb is. Okay, you've done a great job. You have enough to work with wherever you're at. With that highlighted work on one side of your desk, would you put your worksheet that says ladder of feedback on the other side, please? On the top for topic, please put ancient Mesopotamia. You can abbreviate. Can you put your eyes on the board, please, for just a minute? You want your partner to be a rock star. You want them to do the things on the board. So when you are writing comments on our feedback sheet, please do your best to make them specific to the criteria on the board. Accurate? Is there enough? Is it specific? Is it credible? What can they do with their analysis? Remember, we're trying to prove what in our writing? Not that it's a civilization, but that it's a what? Civilized or uncivilized place. Which means in your analysis that you read, the author, your partner, should tell you what civilized looks like and how that evidence compares to that. It should come back to that idea, civilized or uncivilized. And if it doesn't, that's a great thing you could give feedback about. I want you to try to write one thing in each box. Okay. It's okay if you go rogue and it's not from here. It's okay if it's just a comment, because when we're done, they allowed ancient Mesopotamia to become a sacred place. Let's go with what you've got. You each get 2 minutes. Start with something.
And number 4 is the teacher evaluation. So here in teacher evaluation, the teacher gives the final assessment based on the standard and rubric. This is the official evaluation of the student's learning and achievement. Like for example, the teacher grades the portfolio based on the accuracy, organization, creativity, reflection quality, and effort, and providing comments to guide improvement. And next is, let's talk about the implication of portfolio assessment in social sciences. So, the positive implication here is that, number 1, enhance critical thinking and analysis. So, it means portfolio encourage students to analyze information, compare events, and think deeply about historical or social topics. Like for example, writing a reflection on historical events help the student understand causes and effects, not just memorize the dates. Number 2 is encourage historical reflection and interpretation. So the students reflect on what happened in history and interpret its significance. So like for example, after studying a historical revolution, students write about why it happened, and what lesson can be learned today. Civic awareness and value formation. It means portfolio helps students connect what they learn in social science to real-life responsibility, ethics, and citizenship. Like for example, students reflect on a community project showing understanding of cooperation, fairness, and civic duty. 4 is support inquiry-based and experiential learning. Portfolio encourages students to explore, ask questions, and learn from real experiences rather than just memorizing facts. Like for example, as students create research projects, maps, or interviews about local history, learning through hands-on experience. So, the other side of this positive implication are the challenges. Challenges number 1 is the time consuming to assess. Reviewing all the students' work and reflect takes lot of time for teacher. Number 2 is requires clear rubrics. To ensure fairness, teacher must prepare detailed evaluation guides which can be difficult to make. And number 3 is need consistent guidance. Students need support and feedback throughout the process of their portfolio may not reflect true learning. And in conclusion, portfolio assessment is a meaningful way to evaluate learning because it shows students' progress, skills, and understanding over time, not just through exams. It encourages reflection, responsibility, and real-life application of knowledge. Despite of some challenges, it gives a clearer and more complete picture of a student's learning.